Hi, welcome to Prime Recap. Several years after losing his parents during an attack, a strong warrior sets out to seek revenge against those who destroyed his family. Today we will recap the story of the movie, Conan the Barbarian. When Conan was just a boy, his father taught him never to trust anyone but his own sword. The boy was living happily in his village together with his parents, until the day his village was invaded by barbarians who were determined to eliminate all the villagers. Realizing the attack, Conan's mother runs toward her son while the boy's father bravely confronts the invaders. However, his bravery is not enough to keep him alive, and after being struck from behind, the man is devoured by dogs. After eliminating almost everyone in the village, the marauders set fire to their homes. Conan and his mother are still alive, and while hiding, they see each of their family members eliminated. It doesn't take long before they are found and the woman positions her sword in an attempt to protect her son. However, she ends up being eliminated by Thulsa Doom, who in a single blow rips her head off. On that day, Conan saw his parents up close being eliminated and was taken prisoner along with all the children of the village. After several days of a long walk, the young people arrive at their new home, where they must work exhaustingly to survive. It is in this place, totally distant from his homeland, that Conan grows up and becomes a grown man. His remarkable strength attracts the attention of a merchant, who buys the young man with the intention of forcing him to participate in underground fights and make a profit on him. In his first duel, Conan is completely disoriented and ends up being seriously injured, as he has never been in a fight before. However, it doesn't take long before he manages to immobilize his opponent and defeat him with his incredibly strong blows. After that day, Conan never left the ring again and has never been defeated in battle since. The prisoner felt he had found his place and enjoyed hearing the cheering of that crowd that howled during his fights. Conan soon amassed countless victories, and as a prize he was taken to the east, where he could train with the greatest war masters, who taught him their deepest secrets. After a lifetime as a prisoner, the warrior was finally released by his master and, for the first time in many years, was allowed to enjoy his freedom. As he had no money and nowhere to go, Conan wandered for several days and was eventually chased by wild dogs. In an attempt to survive the attack, he hides in a cave, where he lights a fire for the night. There, Conan finds the skeleton of a man who died sitting on his throne and beside his sword. Slowly, he approaches the skull and steals its sword. After the warrior hits the stone with the blade a few times, the skeleton's helmet falls to the ground and Conan leaves the cave. Now that he has a sword in hand, he feels confident to face any enemy and follows his path until he reaches the hiding place of a witch. The woman invites him into her tent and tries somehow to lure him in. She claims that Conan is predestined to become a great king and will crush the serpents that crawl the earth. Upon hearing this, Conan reveals that he is in search of a symbol that is formed from the carving of two snakes and asks if the woman knows where he can find it. Then the stranger claims that there is a price for obtaining this information and they both spend that night together. During the relationship, she claims that Conan will find what he is looking for in Zamora, and suddenly her body begins to transform. At this moment, the witch finally reveals herself and tries to attack Conan. However, the warrior manages to act in time and throws the creature into the bonfire. Even so, its spirit manages to free itself and flees far away from that place. So Conan decides to spend the night in that hut and the next morning prepares to continue his journey. Before he leaves, he hears the voice of a man named Subotai crying for help and decides to free him from his chains. At this point, the warrior gets a traveling partner, and during the night they decide to make camp to rest. While they are eating, the two men talk about their gods and beliefs. From then on, a great friendship begins. After a few days of walking, they reach a town and, after eating, continue their journey. Wherever they go, they try to collect information about these snakes and have to figure out how to get to Zamora. When they reach their final destination, the two discover that the snakes they seek live in the Serpent Tower and decide to raid the place. Everyone says that the tower is full of jewels and precious stones, which attracted Valeria's attention. As she was about to break into the place, the woman comes across the two thieves and decides to join them in their mission. After climbing the tower, the trio enters a well and Valeria spots numerous women dressed in white walking toward a ceremony room. The thief then decides to explore to see what she can find in that place and asks her partners to find out what is downstairs. To their surprise, Subotai and Conan discover that it is the nest of a gigantic serpent and try to steal everything they can without waking it. Meanwhile, a young woman is preparing to serve as food for the snake and is about to throw her own body into the nest. Before leaving the place, Conan finds the symbol he was looking for this very symbol was used by the barbarians who attacked his village. After stealing it, the warrior intends to go through the tunnel, but is surprised by the presence of the giant serpent, which was ready to devour him. However, Conan uses his sword to attack it and manages to defend himself in time. Soon after, Subotai returns and launches some arrows at the animal. In order to ensure that the creature is destroyed, the warrior rips its head off and they both manage to escape. When the young girl jumps into the nest, she is terrified to see the dead snake and everyone starts screaming in despair. While the women run around scared, the thieves take advantage of the opportunity to escape. After completing the mission, they go to a restaurant and Conan gives Valeria the most valuable stone he has stolen. That night they decide to keep each other company, and a beautiful romance ensues. After that, they are never apart again. One night, after drinking several liters of beer, the couple is completely drunk and cannot react when the king's soldiers appear to capture them. Soon after, Subotai arrives to join them and, contrary to what the trio believed would happen, King Osric salutes them for their courage. That night, Osric reveals that his daughter has fallen under Thulsa Doom's spell, as have several other young women, and is now blindly following him. The man then offers the thieves a lot of money to rescue the girl and take her back to Zamora. The trio grabs as many gems as they can carry, but during the night, Valeria says that this is something very dangerous and tries to convince Conan to give up this chaotic mission. She says that she has talked to Subotai and he agrees that they should not start this journey. Valeria says that she has always wandered alone, dreaming of the time when she would find someone to share her life and build a family. She then reveals that she wishes to remain by Conan's side forever and embraces him, begging him to abandon that mission. However, the warrior cannot miss the opportunity to avenge his parents. The next morning when she wakes up, Valeria realizes that she is alone in her tent, for Conan has decided to go and leave her behind with only a necklace that the woman is to keep as a memento of their days together. In the days following that sad morning, Conan wandered the desert in search of Thulsa Doom and his followers, asking everyone who crossed his path for information. During the long journey, the warrior comes across skeletons of men and horses in a place where a war possibly took place many years ago. A few miles away from that place, Conan comes across the tent of a wizard who claims to be able to summon demons and offers him shelter. That night, the two get together for a meal and Conan gets more information on how to find Thulsa Doom. The next morning, he borrows a camel from the magician and promises that he will return soon. Before he leaves, he asks the man to take care of his horse, for he could not endure this journey. Upon reaching his final destination, the warrior sees dozens of people performing rituals in an attempt to redeem and purify his spirit. Conan then spends the night there and waits until the followers of Thulsa Doom show up. The next morning, the place is taken over by priests who are worshipped as gods by those people. The warrior then says that he wants to talk alone with one of those men and attacks him to steal his cloak. Now that he is dressed like everyone around him, Conan manages to infiltrate the crowd and walks along with the rest of the followers until he reaches Thulsa Doom's palace. However, he begins to arouse suspicion when he hands over the snake symbol to one of the guards, who takes it directly to his superiors. Just then, the princess, King Osric's daughter, appears before the people, and unexpectedly Conan is captured as a spy. After being brutally attacked by Thorgrim and Rexor, the warrior is interrogated by Thulsa Doom, who claims to be extremely saddened since Conan eliminated his serpent. At that moment, the man strikes back, saying that the monster took the lives of his parents and all his people. Then, Thulsa Doom says that Conan should thank him, for it is thanks to him that he has become such a strong warrior. Knowing that as long as Conan is alive he will not give up his revenge, Thulsa Doom orders his men to put him on the cross. That same day, the warrior has his arms and legs nailed to a tree and all he can do is patiently await his death. Conan is about to die under the scorching sun when he begins to have his flesh devoured by a vulture, but he refuses to accept being eaten alive and eliminates the animal with a bite on his neck. After a few days living in that decadent condition, the warrior is found by Subotai, who rescues his friend and takes him to the wizard's tent, where Valeria is waiting. Upon coming across Conan's nearly lifeless body, the magician begins to draw pictures on his skin, hoping to get the spirit's help to heal him. That night, some demons appear to take the warrior's soul and the magician returns to his tent, as he is extremely frightened. On the other hand, Valeria and Subotai rush to protect Conan and fight against those spirits in the hope of being able to prevent him from being taken away. After a few minutes of intense battle, the duo manages to defeat the spirits, giving Conan another chance to survive. Days later, he is able to open his eyes for the first time and his body recovers quickly. When he is fully recovered, the trio plans how they will capture the princess and leave the wizard's camp to finish their mission. They walk all the way through the desert again and paint their bodies before storming up the mountain. Upon entering the Thulsa Doom hideout, they follow the guards until they reach a room full of men and women performing a ceremony. The soldiers then place a stone cauldron, filled with soup made from human parts, on the altar and one of the women is the first to help herself to the food. Thulsa Doom is sitting on his throne, and next to him is the princess. Suddenly, the man's face begins to undergo a bizarre change, and he slowly turns into a serpent. In order to disperse the attention of the guards, Valeria sets fire to one of the curtains in the hall while Subotai sneaks up and eliminates the guard who was tending the soup. When the other security guards realize what is happening, they start attacking Valeria. Meanwhile, Conan walks through the hall and eliminates all the men present. However, Thulsa Doom, who is now in the body of a snake, manages to escape. After eliminating all obstacles in her path, Valeria goes to meet the princess and manages to capture her. Within minutes, Rexor and Thorgrim arrive with reinforcements and Conan drops the soup of human remains on top of them. The princess is dragged out of the palace against her will, and the warrior must defeat the main Thulsa Doom fighters to make it to the exit. The trio runs out of the tower and Conan carries the princess on his back while Valeria stays behind to eliminate the rest of the guards. Even at a disadvantage, the woman manages to defeat all the guys chasing her with her sword and walks away completely unharmed. When Thulsa Doom transforms into a human again, he helps his men get back on their feet and sets out to seek revenge. From the mountaintop, the man uses one of his snakes as an arrow and takes aim at the group of thieves that has invaded his palace. At that moment, Valeria is hit and her companions stop to help her. However, it is already too late, as the snake has passed through her abdomen. In her final moments, the woman bids farewell to Conan, her first and only true love. A few seconds later, Valeria dies in the arms of her beloved and is carried back to the wizard's tent. Once there, the warrior holds a wake for her and builds an altar made of tree branches so that her body can rest in peace. Subotai then hands him a torch and Conan sets the woman's body on fire. Seeing the sadness in his friend's eyes, the archer begins to cry, and the magician asks him the reason for his tears. Then the man explains that although his heart is broken, Conan is not able to shed any tears, so his friend decides to do it for him. As he watches Valeria's body burn, the warrior ties the necklace he made for her around her neck and decides that he will not leave before he is able to avenge her. The next morning, the princess, who is tied to a rock, states that it won't be long before Thulsa Doom is able to find her. According to her, when this happens, Conan will be eliminated immediately. Therefore, the warrior and his faithful squire prepare traps to receive their enemies and anxiously await their arrival. It is not long before his wish comes true and numerous soldiers from Thulsa Doom show up for battle. Before the war begins, Conan makes his first prayer to Crom, his father's god, and asks for the deity's help in defeating his enemies in order to obtain his revenge. The battle begins and Conan gets the upper hand by hiding to attack his opponents by surprise. Fortunately, his traps prove to be effective against those guys and most of them are defeated within the very first few minutes. Subotai uses his arrows to shoot them down, and Conan is attacked by Rexor, who runs after him on his horse. However, Conan acts more quickly and ends up knocking the animal out along with his master. Next, Thorgrim becomes the target and is also attacked with blows to the neck. However, he stays alive and falls into Subatai's trap. When he hits the helmet, believing he is attacking Conan, the man ends up activating a gear that causes him to be stabbed in the chest. Upon seeing this, Rexor gathers the rest of his forces to confront him, and just as Conan was about to receive the final blow, Valeria's spirit appears to protect him, blocking the attack. He then strikes a sword blow into Rexor's eyes, and after getting up, Conan finishes the job, causing deep cuts in his opponent's abdomen. At that moment, the princess spots Thulsa Doom on a hilltop and calls for his help. But instead of rescuing her, the man prepares to attack the young girl with his snake arrow, but is stopped by Subotai, who uses a shield to block the attack. At the end of the battle, Conan thanks Crom for granting his request and handing him the victory of that fight. When he returns home, Thulsa Doom continues to be adored by hundreds of followers. What he does not realize is that the warrior is once again infiltrating his palace, and this time in the company of the princess. After discovering that her master was willing to eliminate her, the young woman realized how despicable he is and decided to help her kidnappers eliminate him. The man is giving a speech in front of his subjects when he is surprised by Conan's arrival. Facing that great threat, Thulsa Doom tries to convince the warrior once again that he is responsible for his growth and even says that he has acted as a father to him. However, Conan does not allow himself to be fooled by this small talk and lands a sword blow on his neck. He then rips the demented man's head off, just as he did his mother decades ago. Now his revenge is complete, and Conan throws his enemy's head down the stairs so that his followers can see it up close. He then drops his sword, to demonstrate that he does not intend to hurt anyone else. At this time, the girls who were under the spell of Thulsa Doom break free and decide to return to their homes, leaving everything they have lived through behind. When everyone leaves, Conan throws a flaming chalice at the palace, causing a huge fire, and carries the princess in his arms. His next mission is to take her back to her father, King Osric, and collect all the reward that awaits him. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, please like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.